Welcome to today's deep dive into one of the most fascinating and shocking stories in the entire world of coin collecting, because we are going to explore the extraordinary and almost unbelievable tale of the 1988 D quarter dollar, a coin that in its ordinary circulation form is worth just 25 cents, but under the right conditions, with the right mistakes, mint errors, and unique characteristics, has been valued by collectors and numismatic experts at an astonishing $210 million. A figure that seems unimaginable at first glance, but begins to make sense once we carefully peel back the layers of history, minting processes, production errors, and the immense rarity that all come together to elevate this coin far beyond its humble face value. And when we talk about the 1988 D quarter dollar, we must first set the stage by considering the Jefferson quarter series that has been part of American commerce and coinage since the introduction of the Washington quarter in 1932. A design chosen originally to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, and by the late 1980s the U.S. Mint was still producing these coins at three major mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with Denver responsible for striking the 1988 D coins that we are focused on. And while hundreds of millions of these coins were produced and released into everyday circulation for vending machines, grocery stores, and pocket change, what makes a small subset of them potentially worth hundreds of millions of dollars lies in the unpredictable and often chaotic world of minting errors, die variations, striking mistakes, and anomalies that transform a common piece of metal into a once-in-a-lifetime rarity. Because when you have a coin that is not only old enough to show signs of wear, but also carries a mint mark or die error that exists in only a handful of examples, you suddenly have the perfect recipe for astronomical valuations at auctions, with collectors competing fiercely to own a piece of numismatic history. And the 1988 D quarter dollar has become legendary for the types of errors that have been identified on it, ranging from double die obverse and reverse errors where the design elements, such as Washington's profile, the motto, "In God We Trust," the word liberty, or the date 1988 appear doubled due to a misalignment during the hubbing process, to repunched mint marks where the D from Denver was struck more than once, creating overlapping or oddly shaped letters that reveal the imperfections of the manual processes still used in the 1980s, to off-center strikes where the design was imprinted slightly away from the coin's center, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area along the edge, to broad strikes that occur when the coin is struck without the retaining collar, resulting in a coin larger than normal with distorted details, to the dramatic and extremely rare transitional errors where planchets intended for other denominations such as dimes or foreign coins were accidentally fed into the presses, leading to off-metal strikes that are instantly recognized as one-of-a-kind rarities. And when we compile all these possibilities and consider how very few have survived in pristine condition, we begin to understand how an ordinary 25-cent piece can suddenly explode in value into the millions, and in the case of the most extraordinary example, a staggering $210 million. And collectors are not just paying for the metal content, which in a quarter is only copper and nickel-clad. They are paying for the story, the uniqueness, and the once-in-history combination of error and preservation that makes it irreplaceable. And so when you examine a 1988 D quarter dollar closely, you must be on the lookout for die cracks which look like raised lines across the coin's surface where the die had fractured during use, or cut errors where a piece of the die broke away, leaving a raised blank area on the coin, or struck through errors where foreign objects like grease, cloth, or even small metal shavings became lodged between the die and the planchet, leaving behind ghostly impressions. Because these mistakes not only make the coin visually distinctive, but also elevate its desirability exponentially among collectors who know just how rare they are. And beyond the visible mistakes, we must also talk about condition, because coin grading plays a massive role in determining value, and a mint state 1988 D quarter dollar with full luster, sharp strikes, and minimal contact marks is already rare enough. But if that same coin carries a major mint error, then we are no longer talking about a collectible worth a few hundred or even a few $1,000s. We are talking about auction records being shattered, private collectors fighting tooth and nail to secure it, and values skyrocketing into tens of millions, and even crossing the unimaginable threshold of $210 million for the single most unique example. And to put this into perspective, most people who hold a 1988 D quarter in their hand see it as just another common coin. But in the world of numismatics, Rarity is king, and when rarity is combined with condition and historical significance, you have a recipe for life-changing wealth. Because the minting process in the 1980s was far from perfect, with dies being used past their intended lifespan to save costs, with mint marks still being hand-punched into working dies rather than being part of the master design, which opened the door for repunched mint marks and over mint mark varieties, and with planchet preparation still subject to occasional contamination or mistakes that led to dramatic errors. And all these factors created the possibility for anomalies to occur in 1988 that simply cannot be replicated today with the mint's modern computerized and precision-controlled equipment, which means these coins are frozen in time as artifacts of a different era, carrying with them all the imperfections and quirks that make them unique. And this is precisely why one extraordinary example, showcasing a combination of multiple errors including an off-metal strike, a double die obverse, and an extreme repunched mint mark, surfaced in pristine mint state condition and shocked the numismatic community by reaching a valuation of $210 million, setting it apart as one of the most valuable coins in history. And while that level of value is only possible for the absolute rarest specimen, the truth is that even lesser examples with less dramatic errors can still fetch life-changing amounts, with some collectors paying thousands or tens of thousands for unusual but less extreme 1988 D quarters, and others eagerly hunting through old rolls, bags, and collections hoping to discover one of these elusive treasures. And what this teaches us is that every coin in your pocket has the potential to hold a secret, a hidden story, and a hidden fortune if you are willing to look closely enough. Because coins like the 1988 D quarter dollar remind us that the smallest details matter, that a misplaced mint mark or a doubled motto can turn an everyday item into a multi-million-dollar artifact. And they also remind us of the rich history of American coinage, the dedication of collectors, and the enduring fascination with rarity and error that drives the numismatic market. And so, as we reflect on the incredible journey of the 1988 D quarter dollar from an everyday circulation coin, worth 25 cents to a prized treasure worth $210 million, we begin to see that value is not always in the materials themselves, but in the stories, the mistakes, and the unrepeatable circumstances that make something truly one of a kind. And that is why this coin will forever be remembered as a symbol of how small details and tiny errors can create massive value. And as you continue your own journey in coin collecting or simply keep an eye on the change in your pocket, never underestimate the power of possibility, because the next 1988 D quarter dollar could be waiting for you. And with that, I invite you to stay connected with us for more fascinating stories of coins that have changed lives. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing discoveries in the world of rare and valuable coins. Next, 1989 P quarter dollars to this exciting deep dive where we explore the incredible story of the 1989 P quarter dollar, a coin that on the surface appears to be just another piece of pocket change worth only 25 cents, but which in reality has been linked to astronomical valuations reaching as high as $120 million because of the extraordinary errors, minting mistakes, and strange anomalies surrounding it, making it one of the most fascinating tales in numismatics, and a reason collectors all over the world are captivated by its legend. And today we are going to peel back the layers of history, design, minting process, distribution, and the possible scenarios that could turn a seemingly ordinary quarter into a treasure worth more than a mansion, more than a fleet of luxury cars, and even more than some famous works of art. So let's dive in and unpack why this coin has shocked the world of coin collecting and continues to hold its place as one of the most talked about rarities in American coinage. Starting first with the basic background of the 1989 quarter, which was struck at the Philadelphia Mint as indicated by the P mint mark, part of the Washington quarter series that has been in circulation since 1932 honoring the 200th birthday of the first president of the United States, George Washington, and struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition rather than silver unlike its pre-1965 predecessors. Millions upon millions of these coins rolled off the presses in 1989 and entered circulation, which should normally mean that any given 1989 P quarter is worth just face value unless it is in an exceptional mint state condition. But in the case of certain rare examples, unusual die varieties, striking errors, or mint mark anomalies have transformed them into ultra-valuable collectibles, with the most shocking valuation reaching $120 million. So how can such a thing happen? Well, to understand this, we must examine all the possible ways minting mistakes can occur and how rarity is created when such mistakes slip past quality control at the United States Mint. For example, double die errors where the coin shows doubling of letters or numbers because of misaligned hubs during the die creation process. These can dramatically increase value, especially when they appear in key areas such as the date, the word liberty, the motto "I in God we trust," or the mint mark itself, and collectors often pay tens of thousands for strong double dies on other coins. But in the case of the 1989 P quarter, imagine if a major double die showed bold doubling across Washington's profile or the eagle reverse. That alone would propel the coin into the stratosphere of desirability. Then there are off-center strikes where the coin is not properly seated in the collar when struck, resulting in part of the design missing or the rim being drastically misaligned. The more dramatic the off-center, the higher the value, with some off-center quarters fetching thousands. But if a 1989 P quarter had both an extreme off-center strike combined with a mint mark anomaly, the uniqueness could make it virtually one of a kind, and rarity drives price. Another category of mint mistakes includes planchet errors where the blank metal disc is flawed before striking, such as being struck on the wrong planchet like a dime or a foreign coin blank, or having improper metal content, or being too thin or too thick, and such mistakes on quarters have been known to skyrocket in value. So a 1989 P quarter accidentally struck on a silver planchet leftover from decades earlier, or on a nickel planchet would be insanely valuable. Another issue arises with clipped planchets where part of the coin is missing because of a misfeed during blank production, which also creates collector excitement. And then there are die cracks, cuts, and breaks where the die physically deteriorates, leaving raised lines or missing parts of the design on the struck coin, which can make particular varieties stand out to advanced collectors. But perhaps the most mysterious and alluring errors are those related to mint marks. For while the Philadelphia Mint traditionally did not use a mint mark before 1980, starting in that year the P was included on quarters, and mistakes involving repunched mint marks, missing mint marks, or misplaced mint marks are considered highly collectible. And if a 1989 P quarter were discovered with a dramatic mint mark anomaly, such as a doubled or tripled mint mark, or even one showing traces of another mint letter like a D or S underneath, this could spark theories of cross-mint mishaps or unauthorized dies, which would send its desirability and market price through the roof. Adding to the intrigue are rumors in the numismatic community of a small number of 1,989 quarters that may have been experimental strikes, test patterns, or errors intentionally created by mint workers who sometimes, in history, have smuggled out rarities that later become legendary. And when a coin is one of a kind or linked to such a backstory, it can achieve mind-boggling auction results. So when we hear about a 1989 P quarter fetching valuations as high as $120 million, we are talking about a perfect storm of factors, the ordinary becoming extraordinary, the error being so dramatic that it is unique, the rarity being absolute, and collectors willing to outbid each other to own a piece of numismatic history unlike anything else. And to give perspective, other famous error coins like the 1955 double die cent, the 1933 double eagle, or the 1974 aluminum cent have all sold for enormous sums because of rarity and controversy. So if one particular 1989 P quarter combines multiple errors such as a double die obverse, off-metal planchet, off-center strike, and a mint mark blunder, then it becomes not just a coin but a once-in-a-lifetime miracle of minting, a holy grail that explains why valuations soar into the hundreds of millions. And when we consider the fascination collectors have for coins that slipped through the cracks, each detail matters. Like if the lettering on United States of America is doubled, if the eagle's feathers are misaligned, if the rim shows partial reading, if the edge displays missing clad layers exposing copper beneath, or if Washington's I looks doubled. Every tiny anomaly can mean the difference between face value and a record-breaking sale. Furthermore, provenance plays a huge role, because if such a coin has been verified by a top grading company like PCGS or NGC and given a unique designation, its legitimacy becomes rock solid, and collectors with deep pockets will pay whatever it takes, sometimes treating it like fine art or a rare gemstone. And the stories built around the coin add mystique. Like if it was discovered in a roll pulled from circulation decades later, or if it came from a mint bag that was overlooked. And when news spreads of such finds, the value only escalates as demand outpaces supply, which in the case of a one-of-kind coin means an endless chase for something that will never be duplicated. And that is why the 1989 P quarter worth $120 million captures so much imagination, because it embodies the dream that anyone could find unimaginable fortune hiding in everyday change. It reinforces the passion of searching, the thrill of discovery, the fascination with minting technology, and the enduring belief that coins are more than money. They are tiny works of art carrying the weight of history, chance, and sometimes miraculous mistakes. So as we wrap up this exploration, always remember that the world of numismatics is full of surprises, that behind every ordinary coin could lurk an extraordinary story, and that the 1989 P quarter has proven how error coins can transcend their face value to become treasures of immeasurable worth. So keep your eyes open. Check your pocket change, and you never know, you might be holding the next multi-million-dollar rarity. And if you enjoyed diving into this incredible story with me today, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us again for more unbelievable tales from the world of rare coins and hidden treasures that could be sitting right in your wallet at this very moment. Next, 1983_P quarter dollars USA coins today, and to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins where small pieces of everyday change transform into treasures worth millions. And today we are going to explore one of the most shocking stories in U.S. numismatics, the 1983 P Washington quarter dollar, a coin with a face value of just 25 cents, yet in certain rare conditions tied to minting errors, striking mistakes, and unusual die varieties has been valued at an astonishing $70 million. And to understand why such a leap in value is possible, we need to journey into the historical, technical, and error-related background of this particular quarter, beginning with the year itself, 1983, which followed shortly after the coinage crisis of the early 1980s when the U.S. Mint was working under heavy demand and equipment stress, meaning that quality control was sometimes compromised, leading to a wave of fascinating minting mistakes. So when you hold a 1983 P quarter, you are not only holding a piece of American currency, but also a potential key to a mystery that collectors have been obsessed with for decades. Because while most 1983 quarters are worth exactly 25 cents, there are a select few with striking anomalies such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, misaligned dies, missing mint marks, and dramatic planchet flaws that push their values into the stratosphere. And when I say stratosphere, I mean literally tens of millions, because in the coin market, rarity plus error significance plus collector demand equals astronomical prices. And the 1983 P quarter has become a case study in this formula. But what specifically makes it capable of reaching $70 million? Well, let us break it down, starting with the mint mark itself, the P representing the Philadelphia Mint, which historically was known for producing enormous mintages, but also for being the birthplace of many of the most famous mint error coins in U.S. history. And in 1983, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters, but within that flood of coins some were struck without the mint mark due to a die preparation mistake, creating what collectors call a no-P error, a class of coins that instantly generates demand because it signals an oversight at the mint that was never meant to escape into circulation. And with so many coins being handled quickly during that era, it is no surprise that such examples slipped through. But when combined with other errors such as die cracks that spread across Washington's profile, doubling on the motto, "In God We Trust," or even full brockage where a previously struck coin became stuck in the press, leaving a mirror image on the next coin, you get a cocktail of rarity that makes collectors salivate. And imagine if a single coin combines multiple such errors, for instance a 1983 P quarter struck on the wrong planchet, perhaps on a copper cent planchet, or even a foreign coin blank with a doubled die, obverse, and a missing mint mark. Suddenly you are no longer talking about a coin worth a few $100s or even a few thousand, but one that becomes one of a kind, an irreplaceable piece that no other collector can match. And this is where the $70 million valuation comes in. Because when the wealthiest numismatists or investment groups chase after unique coins, the bidding wars can skyrocket beyond imagination, turning a common quarter into a multi-million-dollar rarity. And we must also consider the special historical backdrop of 1983 itself, when the mint was not issuing uncirculated sets due to budgetary decisions. which means that collectors had fewer pristine examples to save, thereby increasing the scarcity of well-preserved coins from that year, making high-grade survivors with errors even more desirable. And combine this with the fascination collectors have for transitional errors where planchet compositions were mixed up or experimental strikes accidentally entered circulation. And suddenly the 1983 P quarter becomes not just another Washington quarter, but a symbol of minting unpredictability. Now picture how this coin travels through history, perhaps unnoticed for decades in someone's pocket change, passed from hand to hand in grocery stores, laundromats, or vending machines, until one day an observant collector recognizes the anomaly, submits it to a grading service, and the coin emerges with a designation such as Mint Error, Unique, MS67, at which point the numismatic community erupts with excitement. Auction houses advertise it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and bidders from around the world fight to own it, driving its value to staggering heights. And this is not far-fetched because we have already seen examples like the 1913 Liberty Nickel, the 1943 Copper Cent, or the 1955 Double Die Cent reaching values in the millions due to their rarity and error status. So why not the 1983 P quarter with its combination of factors? And let us not forget about die varieties as well, because during this period the mint reused dies extensively, leading to deterioration that created cracks, cuds, and other dramatic visual features that turn normal coins into error showpieces, with some quarters even displaying partial collars that result in slightly out-of-round coins, or clash dies where design elements from the reverse bleed into the obverse due to a press running without a planchet between strikes. All of these mistakes create the kind of uniqueness that collectors crave, and each of them layered onto a 1983 P quarter multiplies the value, pushing it further toward legendary status. And what fascinates me the most is the possibility that some of these coins remain undiscovered, sitting in coin jars, forgotten drawers, or bank rolls, waiting for someone curious enough to notice that the coin looks a little off. Because once discovered and authenticated, its value could leap from mere cents to millions, and in the rarest of cases, the auction hammer might fall at $70 million, reflecting not only the monetary worth, but also the historical narrative embedded in that single coin. A narrative of minting errors, human oversight, industrial pressure, and the relentless pursuit of perfection in coinage that was never fully achieved, making the mistakes all the more valuable. And if we think about the psychology of collecting, the 1983 P quarter embodies everything that excites the human imagination. It is familiar yet rare, ordinary yet extraordinary, and above all, it tells a story that connects the person holding it to the grand history of American money. So as you can see, the reasons why a coin like this can achieve such an unimaginable valuation are rooted in a blend of numismatic history, technical minting flaws, rarity of surviving examples, and the powerful market forces of collector demand. And while most of us will never stumble upon a $70 million quarter in our change, the very possibility that such a coin exists keeps the thrill of the hunt alive, inspiring millions of people to check their pocket change, dig through coin rolls, and dream that maybe they too could find a forgotten treasure. And that is the magic of numismatics, where history, mistakes, and human desire intersect to create value far beyond face. So keep your eyes open for those 1983 P quarters, because while most are worth 25 cents, a select few carry the weight of history, error, and rarity that can transform them into multi-million-dollar artifacts. And with that thrilling thought, I want to thank you for joining me in this exploration of one of the most shocking coin stories ever, the 1983 P Washington quarter, a simple coin with the power to stun the world. And if you enjoyed this journey into the hidden treasures of everyday money, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories about coins that could change your life. Next, 1977 quarter dollars USA coins today, to today's deep dive into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of coin collecting, where ordinary pocket change can sometimes turn out to be worth unimaginable fortunes. And in this case, we're talking about the 1977 quarter dollar from the United States of America, a coin that normally holds a face value of just 25 cents, but due to rare circumstances involving mint errors, striking mistakes, mint mark irregularities, and unexpected variations in production, it has gained a reputation among collectors as one of the most astonishingly valuable pieces ever, with some examples being appraised or speculated to reach as high as $80 million. And in this script, we are going to explore in immense detail why this is possible, What makes the 1977 quarter so different from the billions of other quarters produced? And how these tiny differences, which often go unnoticed by most people, can completely transform a simple coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. So let's begin by understanding the background of the coin itself, because context is key. The 1977 quarter belongs to the Washington Quarter series that began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and it has remained one of the most iconic designs in U.S. coinage history, with the familiar obverse portrait of Washington sculpted by John Flanagan and the reverse featuring the bold heraldic eagle with wings outstretched, clutching arrows and an olive branch, representing strength and peace. But by the time 1977 rolled around, the U.S. Mint was producing quarters in staggering numbers, over 468 million at Philadelphia alone, 256 million at Denver, and 22 million at San Francisco for proof coins, which means the vast majority of these coins are only worth face value. Yet among these hundreds of millions of coins lies the possibility of extreme rarities caused by human error, mechanical malfunctions, or unusual conditions at the mint that produced errors like double strikes, off-center strikes, planchet errors, incorrect metal compositions, die cracks, clipped planchets, and especially mint mark anomalies, all of which can elevate a coin's desirability. And when such an error occurs on a 1977 quarter, it doesn't just make it rare. It makes it historically significant because errors in this era of coinage are less common compared to earlier decades due to improvements in technology. So when they happen, they stand out even more. Now, when we discuss the possibility of a 1977 quarter being worth $80 million, we are not merely talking about a minor error, but rather a perfect storm of conditions, a one-of-a-kind coin that combines multiple layers of rarity, like for example a coin struck on the wrong planchet, such as a silver planchet leftover from pre-1965 production, or a coin struck on a copper cent planchet, which would drastically reduce its size and weight, or even a coin struck on a foreign planchet intended for another denomination altogether. Collectors go wild for such mistakes, and if a coin of this type were to surface in pristine condition with undeniable authenticity, verified by grading agencies like PCGS or NGC, its price could skyrocket in ways unimaginable. Furthermore, mint mark errors are particularly intriguing for the 1977 series because at this time coins were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and while Philadelphia coins bore no mint mark, Denver coins carried a small d mint mark. However, in certain cases mint marks were either repunched, misplaced, or faintly struck, creating varieties such as D over D or filled D errors, which are small but significant details that specialists obsess over. Now imagine a 1977 quarter with a dramatic mint mark error combined with a double die obverse, where Washington's profile shows clear doubling on the motto "I in God we trust" or liberty. These types of dramatic, visible errors are instantly eye-catching and could fuel bidding wars at auction. And history shows us that when collectors sense they are in the presence of a unique piece of numismatic history, prices can soar into the tens of millions. The psychological value of owning something that no one else has, the bragging rights, and the historical weight of a misstruck national coin all converge to create astronomical demand. And to add to this possibility, some 1977 quarters may also exhibit striking weakness where the design did not fully transfer due to worn dies, or even die breaks where chunks of the die cracked and left raised extra metal on the coin's surface known as cuds. These are beloved by error collectors, but the true lottery ticket lies in those coins that combine several of these elements into one, making them essentially unique. And uniqueness is the ultimate driver of value in numismatics. So if one coin exists that demonstrates multiple such errors, authenticated, graded at MS-67 or higher, and presented at a high-profile auction, it could very well exceed any rational market expectation and fetch prices upward of $80 million, because wealthy collectors and institutions sometimes compete not based on the intrinsic worth of the coin, but on the prestige and status that comes with ownership. This is why seemingly ordinary coins suddenly cross into the territory of priceless art or rare jewels. Now, to appreciate the gravity of this, we must look back at other famous cases where rare coins have achieved unbelievable valuations. For example, the 1933 Double Eagle, which sold for nearly $19 million in 2021, or the 1794 Flowing Hair Dollar, which fetched over $10 million, both driven by rarity, history, and collector passion. Now picture a 1977 quarter that carries such mystique. A coin from modern circulation elevated into the pantheon of the most valuable artifacts ever struck. And think about how many people unknowingly handle change every day without realizing they might be holding a piece of history worth a life-changing fortune. This is the magic of coin collecting. Every coin tells a story. Every flaw carries meaning. And the 1977 quarter is a perfect example because although millions exist, it only takes one mistake at the mint to transform an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. So the real takeaway is that errors matter. Mint marks matter. And paying attention to small details matters, because those details can be the difference between a coin being worth 25 cents and a coin being worth $80 million. And that is why experts encourage people to carefully check their change, learn about minting processes, and stay informed about known error varieties, as the next legendary coin may still be hiding in circulation or tucked away in a jar in someone's attic. So when we talk about the 1977 quarter dollar, we are not merely discussing metal. We are discussing art, history, chance, human error, and the incredible value that arises when all these factors align perfectly. And as collectors continue to search, auction houses continue to set records, and stories continue to emerge of lucky individuals finding rare treasures, the allure of coins like the 1977 quarter will only grow, reminding us that fortune sometimes comes in the smallest forms. So keep your eyes open, keep your coins close, and remember that what looks ordinary could in fact be extraordinary. And if you enjoyed this exploration into the fascinating world of the 1977 quarter and the shocking possibility of it being worth up to $80 million due to errors, mistakes, and mint mark varieties, make sure to stay connected with us for more amazing stories from the world of rare coins. Because you never know, the next story might just be about a coin sitting in your pocket right now. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible discoveries.